The past few days, I had been tagging along with a matchmaking group. My intention to enjoy the free food and drinks at the events while blending into the lively atmosphere. Honestly, I wasn't there to find love, but rather to amuse myself by observing the dating habits of modern bachelors and bachelorettes. The group wasn't just young singles. Among the members were a handful of elderly women eagerly seeking matches for their children. One day, one of these aunties dropped a bombshell that sent the group into a frenzy. She casually announced, "I own 53 rental properties, 3 villas, and 5 adorable cats. All of this plus additional assets will be inherited by my only son. On top of that, I'm prepared to give my future daughter-in-law a monthly allowance of $50,000. The chat erupted with messages from women of all backgrounds vying for her attention. Questions flooded in asking if her claims were true. With confidence, she affirmed the legitimacy of her statement. But then she added, "There's just one condition. My son is in a vegetative state. I hope his future wife will not mind." Silence fell over the group like a heavy curtain, but I couldn't help chuckling. To me, this sounded like a golden opportunity wrapped in a velvet bow. I had already decided long ago that marriage wasn't in my plans. Why bother tying myself down? Life was better lived on my own terms. But if marrying a man in a vegetative state meant financial freedom, that didn't sound too bad at all. I still agree. Had one great love money. Without hesitation, I sent her a message in the group chat. "Why would I mind? Your son is clearly my destined sleeping prince." The group exploded in laughter and applause. Messages poured in, calling me bold, funny, and even shameless. I didn't care. To me, it was all worth it. Moments later, the auntie messaged me privately. "Are you being serious? Do you actually want to marry my son? Or are you just joking?" "Of course I'm serious." "Why? Because of money?" I replied bluntly. There was no point in sugarcoating it. I was in it for the fortune. She fell silent, and I assumed that blown my chance. But then, to my surprise, I received a transfer notification. She had sent me $500 as a travel allowance and invited me to visit her at Villa 8 in Starlight Bay, located in Crescent Gardens. She promised a warm welcome. Crescent Gardens was the most exclusive neighborhood in the city, with villas averaging over $1 million. This woman wasn't just rich, she was obscenely wealthy. Grinning, I shamelessly accepted the money and set off immediately. When I arrived at Villa 8, I was greeted by an atmosphere of luxury and grandeur. The village's exterior was stunning, with meticulously maintained gardens and an air of nobility that made me feel slightly out of place. After straightening my hair and smoothing my clothes, I rang the doorbell. A glamorous woman in her 40s opened the door. Her smile radiant, she exuded sophistication, looking no older than her early 30s. Her flawless skin and impeccable fashion sense made me feel like I was meeting a celebrity. "Hello, my name is Stella Greer." I introduced myself, extending a hand. "I'm a graduate of a prestigious Ivy League university, currently preparing for the civil service examination." The woman, Abigail Winslow, shook my hand warmly, her eyes gleaming with approval. "You're young, beautiful, and accomplished. Wonderful." After exchanging pleasantries, she invited me inside, pouring tea as we sat in the opulent living room. She asked about my background, family, work, and aspirations. My parents divorced when I was young, and neither of them kept in touch. "I've been on my own ever since," I explained. "As for work, I'm a fashion designer with an annual salary of around $100,000. Abigail nodded thoughtfully, her expression unreadable. She didn't press further and soon gestured for me to follow her upstairs. "Are we going to meet my sleeping prince now?" I teased. She smiled. "Yes, my son is also my precious sleeping prince." We climbed to the 3rd floor, entered a bedroom. I wasn't expecting much. I'd already prepared myself for a purely transactional relationship. I didn't need to fall in love. I only needed to secure the deal and fulfill my duties. But the moment I saw him, my breath hitched. There he was, lying peacefully on the bed. His long lashes cast delicate shadows on his cheeks, and his features were so exquisite they seemed sculpted by an artist. His collarbones peeked out from under his shirt, sharp and defined, giving him an otherworldly elegance. My heart raced, my mind screamed. This is my prince. For the first time in my life, I felt a spark. Something more than ambition or greed. Was it excitement? Was it attraction? Whatever it was, I knew one thing. This wasn't going to be as simple as I had thought. I never imagined my sleeping prince to be this strikingly handsome. His looks could rival us celebrities. For years, I had been indifferent toward men, but now I was a changed woman. It seemed the rumors were true. Women really were superficial creatures. Abigail Winslow, the elegant woman by his bedside, gently held her son's hand and patted it. As she looked at me, her voice was soft, yet tinged with sorrow. Stella, this is my son, Adrian Winslow. His father passed away when he was young. I prayed he would grow up strong and healthy, but fate had other plans. A car accident robbed him of everything. Her voice broke and her eyes grew glassy as she stared at Adrian's still form. A pang of sympathy hit me. Though I was here for my own selfish reasons, I couldn't help but feel sorry for this family's tragedy. Maybe a miracle will happen and Adrian will wake up, I said, trying to offer some comfort. She shook her head, her lips trembling. He's been in treatment for so long, the doctors have confirmed he's permanently vegetative. Her voice cracked as fresh tears threatened to fall. Not knowing how to console her further, I fell silent. After some time, Abigail composed herself and LED'd me downstairs. Stella, if you're willing, you can move in now. Spend 6 months here. And if you don't change your mind, we'll discuss the marriage. I blinked. Moving now? Yes. My business in Crescent City has been delayed for far too long, and I need to leave soon. The butler and housemates will help you settle in. Treat this house as your own, she said with a reassuring smile. I glanced at the lavish mansion surrounding us. Moving in here sounded like a dream come true. This place practically screamed luxury. All right, I agreed, nodding. Her trust in me was unexpected, but I wasn't going to squander it. Abigail smiled warmly. Good. Since you're here for the money, I'll need to conduct a thorough background check. You're okay with that, right? What a blunt woman. Of course, I replied, unfazed. She shook my hand firmly. You're honest, Stella, and I like that about you. Over the past 2 years, I've met many potential daughters-in-law, but none of them seemed right. You're the first who feels genuine. Her words surprised me. Genuine? Me still. I smiled and nodded politely. I'll leave everything to you. Just keep Adrian company. Talk to him and let the staff handle the rest. I'll transfer your allowance to you monthly, she added. I couldn't stop myself from nodding enthusiastically. That same day, Abigail left for Crescent City, and I officially moved into the villa with my few bags. The butler and maids were indeed present, but they had little to do in such a well-maintained home. Most of the time, they lingered around idly, leaving me to my own devices. I chose the room next to Adrian's. It was bright and sunny, with large windows that overlooked the garden, a perfect spot for relaxing or studying. After unpacking, I decided to visit Adrian. When I entered his room, he looked as peaceful as before, his handsome features somehow even more captivating in the soft light. Such a waste, I muttered under my breath. A prince like you doesn't belong in this state. Taking a seat by his bed, I introduced myself with a grin. Hi, Mr. Winslow. I'm still Greer, your future wife. From today on, I'll be taking care of you. As expected, he didn't respond. Later, I returned to my room and pulled out my laptop. Curiosity got the better of me, and I began researching vegetative states. I learned that there were 3 types: 1, where patients had minimal consciousness, another where they could open their eyes subconsciously but remained unaware, and the last, a permanent vegetative state where no consciousness remained at all. Unfortunately, Adrian belonged to the 3rd category. I also checked if recovery was possible. While cases of miraculous recovery existed, they were 1 in a million at best. Methods like stimulation and massage could help, but the odds were practically 0. Sighing, I shut my laptop. A 1 in a million chance might as well be no chance at all. A faint cough startled me, pulling me from my thoughts.